Hi guys, Asmo here, and today I have for you a video about how to go cast on crit assassin. This is pretty much a brain dead guide to follow for anyone who wants to quickly become a zoomer and blast some maps in softcore. This is a build to follow if you wanna make a really meta build and do it very easily and just copy what everyone else is doing that works really well. Basically, I'm going to explain everything you need to have ahead of time, because this is not really a league starter. This is pretty much like your second character that you first want to make, like a miner or something like I made. And then the second character, Cast on Crit Assassin, is a really good follow-up to that. And in this video, I'm gonna go over all of the gear that I have prepared and all of the gems that I have prepared and jewels and everything else that you need in order to get started with this build. So first of all of this gear is based on the best builds that I could find on PoE Ninja, like basically best survivability combined with like the best damage of all the cast on crit assassin builds that I could find on PoE Ninja. One of the builds was in hardcore, a couple of the builds were in softcore. This is a softcore build though, however it's gonna aim to be pretty tanky so that you don't die a lot. You know, you eventually every now and then you're gonna die, but it's not gonna be like a thing that constantly keeps happening. It's gonna be a pretty tanky build, but the damage and the clear is what are gonna be good in it, right? So there are some core items that you need and some other cheaper items. So first of all, you're gonna need an assassin level 70, and that's gonna be a character you have to level, and I'm going to post in the next video a guide for leveling a character exactly for that purpose. So I just finished a leveling session with an assassin. It took me like 3.5 hours. I had some gear prepared ahead of time. I'll tell you exactly how to do it. I was just doing one button no brain build with arc. It was very easy. But in this video, let's get over the gear first. So the most expensive piece of gear is the shavs, because I wanted to go low life at first. You can do other things, you might not go low life, but I wanted to start with low life. So I bought shavs. I paid, I think, maybe like 170 chaos, and then I 6th linked it. I spent like maybe like 700 jewelers to 6 socket it, and then like 300 fusings to 6 link. It was pretty lucky for a 6 link, and the reason I did it this way is in order to like lower the cost by the amount of fusings and jewelers I already had, and also to get a really good roll. I have max lightning resistance and almost max increased energy shield. So a lot of the items you'll see here that I have very good rolls, but you don't have to do that. You can save a lot of money by going cheaper on these items and basically lower rolls, but that's what you want. So you want the 6 link shavs. If you want to purchase it like this, it's gonna cost like 6 eggs. So 6 exalted orbs is what a 6 link shavs is gonna cost you. Then next core item is Cospri's Malice. Normally it starts from like 80-90 chaos. I bought mine for like 170, I think, because it has very high cold damage to spells, also pretty high like cold damage to attacks, but really high cold damage to spells, and almost the maximum increased attack speed, so 13 out of 14. Increased attack speed is like a more complicated thing with this build that I'll get into in like maybe the third video for the build, but attack speed is more complicated. So that's the second item you want before you go for this build. Then the next item you want in order is the Presence of Chayula. So again, this is like the max roll. Later on you also want to use catalysts on it to increase the life, so that you have more maximum life converted to energy shield than just the 20%. And this one costs about 70-80 chaos, something like that. So that's how much this is gonna cost you. Then we've got Prism Guardian. Later on, all of this can be upgraded so much later on, but this is just like to get you started, kind of a budget version, but still you're gonna have to put some money into it. That's why it's not a starter character. Prism Guardian, normally around 10 chaos. You can get it for around 10 chaos with like a decent dexterity roll, because this character definitely is gonna need some extra dexterity. And then we have Syntrex. Syntrex go as cheap as like 1 chaos, but these ones, I don't remember how much exactly I paid, because I wanted to get a pretty high increased energy shield. This is another item that gives you dex. So you can get them for like 10 chaos, you'll get a decent roll of these. All of the other items, other than like these 4 uniques, everything else I paid very little for. Next item is the belt. Since this is a build that later on would like to run a headhunter, all we have here is energy shield, strength, and dexterity, and also maximum life since it converts to energy shield because of the presence of Chayula, but that's basically what we want on that. For the rings, we also want just basically energy shield and resistances and dexterity, and that's pretty much it. This has just crafted dex. You can very easily search for the rings by like typing max energy shield, elemental resistances, and open suffix, and then in that open suffix you'll basically put the dexterity or strength, whatever you need. Then another ring has also extra accuracy on it. That's another great thing to get, because accuracy is something that this build definitely requires, because we're critting, so we want high accuracy. Then we have fingerless silk gloves. Oh, these rings basically like 20C each, something like that. I found them. This one I found during leveling. This one like 20C or something like that. This was like 20 to 40C. So very cheap rare items. This is another items I paid like 20C for. It has life, energy shield, resistances, and then the increased spell damage. And then I crafted increased crit chance and elemental damage if you've dealt a crit strike recently. It's a very good cheap craft for that. And then we have the helmet, basically just ES with resistances. That's all you need. And this is again gonna run you like 20 chaos or something like that. I'll write down a list of like everything, the cost together. Then another item you need is Thread of Hope. You need a Thread of Hope that has the large ring, so only affects passives in the large ring. That's the Thread of Hope you need. Try to get as little of the negative elemental resistances as you can, but don't go too crazy on it. Like this one with minus 13. How much did I pay? Like 30 chaos. So this is like 30 chaos for this. And then Frozen Trail. Frozen Trail costs again like 1 to 10 chaos, depending on the roll on it. And I got like the decent roll with like increased also area of effect. Ideally, you'd like to get like the 10% increased projectile damage and corrupted, so that to get corrupted blood cannot be inflicted on you. Then I prepared 4 flasks that my character already is wearing, but they were basically Basalt Flask, a Quicksilver Flask, Diamond Flask, and Onslaught Flask. And they basically want them to have like increased duration, freeze removal, bleed removal, curse removal. That's all you need. And then Atsiris Promises are what I'm gonna run for now, because I have a really good one. Basically max roll on everything, 26 quality. But later on you also want the Cortex Flask as well, right? The flasks for the Bottled Faith, that's what you want in the end for like the maximum single target DPS. So those are the items that you're gonna be wearing, and the items are designed in a way to have the stat requirements met for everything you need. So Cost Priest, for example, you need 212 dex. That's why we have dex on this, dex on rings, dex on rings, dex on this, dex on this. We have dex everywhere because we're going to be traveling mostly to the end part of the tree, and so we're gonna need to fix the dex, right? So you need, if you get like 30 dex on every single of these 3 items, like the rings and the belt, and then like 60 strength maybe together, then you're gonna be able to equip everything, no problem. Now let's go over the gems, because I also bought gems ahead of the time, because you're not gonna be leveling with this build, you're gonna switch to this build. So let's go basically from the main gems. So we got what I want is basically just buy like level 19 gems. All they're gonna cost is like between 1 to 10 chaos. Like most of them cost like 3 chaos, 5 chaos, 6 chaos. So let's count them together, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. 24 gems basically do like 24 times maybe 3, maybe 4. So that's gonna run you like 70 to 100 chaos, maybe slightly less, to get all of these gems set up. And what we have is the Cyclone, Val Cyclone, Hypothermia, Cast on Critical Strike, Ice Nova, actually Val Ice Nova, Inspiration, increased critical strikes. Then we have Vortex with Hex Touch, with Frostbite, with Arcane Surge. That's just, you just buy that from the vendor and you level it to like level 5 or something, whatever like the mana is. Then we get Hatred, Zealotry, and Discipline. Then we get Blood and Sand, Flesh and Stone, Herald of Ice, and Precision. Then we get Dash with Second Wind support, Clarity, and Righteous Fire. And then we have Hypothermia with Frostbolt and Ice Nova. You can also have Frost Bomb in this if you want. And that's basically the gem setup. So I'll try to have like a list of all of that on the screen with the costs. So if you have that, that's basically so that you know how much currency do you need in order to get started with this build and have it like functioning and doing very well, you know, so that you can jump straight into maps and do whatever maps you want and just run through them pretty fast. So that's part number 1 of the guide. This is basically like no brain full meta slave build, like you just follow that and it's gonna work. And that's the video number 1. And next video I'm gonna go over the leveling and basically show clips from the leveling and tell you, like I'll show the passive skill tree and how to switch to that and so on. Another thing also that you're gonna need is regrets. So you're gonna need like around 60 regrets, something like that. You're gonna need for respecing, like 50 to 60 regrets. So that's it. Thank you guys for watching and see you in the next part.